This is Gerald Johan van Waas, an educational channel related with the book Sound in Form, a book about the meaning of letters, sounds in words, and how to combine them. You can learn gradually how to do this yourself, how to understand this, and these videos are meant to be a guidance. And this is the third video, which is about the letter V, and there are a few aspects how to understand the letter V. It needs a little bit more than what I already explained. I said it was a more complex form to connect, and I will show you what is still needed to understand it correctly. The V, like the F, they're both filters. They filter actually the all the aspects that you're seeing, and it's the material is being filtered via the V. So material will come out. So how does this will happen? How can this happen? I will explain in the next couple of slides. And therefore I have to go back to the theory. There are actually in the letters three kind of regions that are important. So there are about 9 levels of complexity if you compare it to numerology. The first region of reference is the region of space, which means you are connecting to objects in space, and you are giving you give a reference point in this space. Very easy. As you know, this in mathematics is very easy. Just pinpoint where an object lies somewhere in space. So these are the three kinds of pinpoints. So these are the connections that are clearly somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the region, and somewhere at the edge. So it's a very clear focus with the A, T, and K. But there are, of course, three kinds of different focuses. It's slightly off with the U, L, and B focus, or it's a completely off focus in space. These are the letters that you can understand in this way as well. Now, what is the second region? What is that about? Now, the three same pinpoints that you have, but they are actually connections in time. So there are regions of time or of change. So there's a change over time, there's a change that you have after a while, and so on. And the last three letters of these series, we have of course also 9 focuses, different focuses. You have the three last letters are the G, the P, and the F. And they are about gradual changes, and after these gradual changes in time you will get a result that is saying like after a while you have a different focus in the middle or in the material with the P, or at the edges with the G. So these are the focuses which are not on in space but in time. And the last the last of the three regions is the one of the region of feedback. So you started with a clear focus in space, and when it is moving, which is changing, you need the second region of time and change, so it gradually goes to somewhere else. And when you have overcome this change, and you say, okay, now I'm sure the conditions are right, then the new elements will appear once again in space. So this is a region of feedback, of formation. And these three letters that you have there in the starting point are the Q, the V, and the G. So it appears in the middle, somewhere in the field of the material, and somewhere at the end at the edges. So in the center point, in the volume of material, or in the outer region. These are the three kinds of focuses you can have. Now, I said this because there's only a slight difference between F and V, but it seems to be a slight difference, but the focus is actually 1 point further, and I will explain what it happens. I also explain what is the difference between the gradual changes in Q, V and G. So these are actually certain conditions with an answer. When these conditions are met, we can find a new center point in Q. We can have a new volume somewhere in the V, and we have a new region at the edges with the G. These are the regions that we gradually will have formed themselves after a while. And that is also that after a while we will have forms that appear suddenly after a certain evolution. Forms like fish, which appear after a while, or fox also, as I explained in the previous video. And these are the objects that appear out of the conditions. So this idea is important as well. So with the F alone, it is only about that you change your focus. You say, okay, the conditions are different. We know that the conditions are in a moment of change, and then of course out of these conditions something new can appear. So after the F you have the V. So that's the difference between these two letters. Here I have them explained once more on the middle region, which are the last three letters are actually in the numerology the level 6, let's say. So it is the moment when the time frame is clear. So the time frame is clear and you reach the time frame. So there was an adaptation, and this adaptation is still running. You don't have the results yet, but you know where to focus upon. With the F, the focus changes. It moves in time, it moves in space and time, and then you know that it has to do with something else. And what it will be, that will be still depending on the time schedule in the F, but it will be real, and it will have a reality in the V. So that's a bit of difference between these two in a theoretical way. As you can see, these are of course the points where your reference point has changed slightly. And with this difference with the G, the V and the Q, actually our time changes, the changes over time are finalized, and we can find a new thing appearing after a while, with the G at the edge, with the V somewhere in the material, and with the Q somewhere in the center, not more than that. So only when the schedule is finished it will appear, and that is also an aspect of the V which is necessary to realize. Compared to the examples, with the F, the fish is also part of the changing circumstances. So this the form of the fish is actually the same as the conditions that are formed in there. So the form is adapted to the conditions and changes over time and in space and so on. So the fish is the forming of the circumstances, and there you find something. You find finally the fish. So the fish is also the finding of the fish, while the word vis is immediately the result itself. So it is always connected with this idea that the time is right to appear, and then it will appear. So it will only appear after a while. So all the words with a V, like in Dutch the van, voor, ver, it show that conditions are changed. These conditions made it so that the object itself could not be there 100%, so it disappeared for temporarily, and it returned only because the conditions are met. So via this connection with V we have the conditions again, and finally it can form itself. This was a bit more complicated idea which is still behind V, but you have to remember it that with the V it's not just going forward and adapting and increasing everything what has happened, but it's not just that kind of confirmation. It's also confirmation that something can happen in time, after a while, or over time, at a certain point where it finally can appear and reappear when the conditions are met. That is also the ideas which are behind the V, And this is also because of the complexity of numerology, that the end of the conditions of space and time, that these aspects are met and associated. And I just give them to you. You can also remember them intuitively, of course. So in a small review, what did we see? There were, for all the letters, there are 3 different regions. The first region is about the placement of things in space. So you can find a place anywhere, even if it is growing and so on, or changing over time. It's still about placement. The 9 first letters in the numerology are all about placement. The next 9 letters, or 10 letters, are about timing. So here the placements cannot be done immediately, so you have to move the ideas forward in time so that you can gradually change it and adapt. And then the last region, which start with G, V and Q, are the next level of understanding. There are 3 dimensions of potential. Actually, that is what it is about. So the timing is there, it's possible. The placement is there as a possibility, only as a possibility. So it is just a potential. So the placements that you do there are actually about things that are potentially usable in time and in space, and it is a different approach than the previous letters. I will give you some examples of some abstract ideas with the V, because V is about the placement of objects and about something that is really realizing itself in form. That's the placement of the V, and so that's why I will have some examples with them, with these letters. So some Dutch and some English words. Voor or for, over, which is Dutch and English as well. Ver or far, and van or from. So some Dutch and English words. And all these words express actually that there is a potential that can be filled in. Doesn't need to be filled in, but it can be filled in. And I will give some examples. We start with voor. Voor has a couple of meanings. The first one is furrow or groove, and the other one is before or for or prior to. So if I deliberately design the form with the letters, so I have the V, the long O, and then the R, the connection point, then I have this kind of form, which then of course fits with the first meaning, which is the furrow, as you can see there. Now, what is in both meanings of this word is that this is about a potential. It is a potential state. It makes this form as a kind of preparation, but it remains a potential only, and it's even not necessary to be filled in. It is already the case with this first word, voor, or before, for, or for something, prior to something. This is a preparation state, which is a focus in a comparison with an environment, let's say, so the comparison between environments. So that is actually what is going on here. So you have a starting point, an end point, and a prepared state to connect with this R, within O, in this environment, or even between differences of environments. This is basically the meaning of the word voor or for. Then you have the word van. We have the English and we have the Dutch word van. The Dutch word means from. Here it is without the connection, so there is also there, you have the connection, and there's a connection point there. with a starting point and an end point, and again a potential state to connect. What is the difference with the word before? In this case there's an a used, so it should be connected with an object, and with n a content. So that is what is from means. From means there is a connection point which starts from somewhere, connects somewhere, and it is an interconnection in a potential state. So it doesn't need to be there all the time. It's a potential state only. And the comparison with the English word van, which is not van, but expressed more like wijn. This is a canister, truck, van, you know, all these things. So I express it with these sounds slightly changed. So for me it is very clear. It is about connection. This connecting thing is even with the a is go even further than that. But it is about connection. The connection is there between the object of what you use and the connections that you make there. We know, of course, how this looks like the van. Also here it is a potential connection that should be filled in or could be filled in. That is also what I already expressed in before. The A is something that you can fill in, you can add, and you can add even the potentials in time or in space or in objects and so on. It is all a bit free where it's added, when it is added, but there is material that is connected here with this word. So the connection, as you can see, is driving towards this connection. And what do you have here as well? I will of course compare it a little bit better to this form, and I will adapt it, so I'll change the order a little bit that it will connect better to the form, and you will understand still what is there. So the wijn is the connection with the a, so with a whole amount of connections. The a which is coming in or even coming out, so the connections in time and in placement are in there, in addition to all what is already expressed as an addition. So there is an addition which also goes forward with a V. So what do you have here with van? Where you have the movement, of course, of the V, the material additions with A, the attached connection with the N, and the physical object, of course, as well, because of the A, which is the expression of van. I had already voor, but I will express the difference with the English for. For is more vague, of course, because it is still searching for the connecting state. Because with voor you have this potential state which you can connect, which is a slightly difference in meaning. But here with the English word, it is it's a bit more free in when and where it will connect. There is a subtle difference in focus. The fork, you understand as well. You have the K there as well, and you have this. The connections here go towards are interconnected via the K, so it is also a kind of connection like picking in, taking out, taking in. Again, it is slightly theoretically, because it's still not an activity, an action. It is a potential tool that you know, of course, that to pick into and connect into the environment of O. Ver is also an idea which seems not to be easy to understand. I have the V, I have the E, I have the R to connect at the beginning of the ending. It seems that it doesn't explain itself so easily. Ver means far, but if you start to analyze what is in there what it is connected with. You can see that the V could be a push forward, a move forward to potentially connect in this way, of course, because of this V, what has in this case a certain distance. So the connection comes only after addition, but that is the potential which is expressed in this word. Over is slightly extended from ver, but it starts with O. It starts with the environment. Also here, it doesn't show immediately what it connects, but if you express the environment there, you see that the connection point is not really so far as with ver. The is also a shorter sound. It mostly means neutral connection, so there is a connection possible with over, and it is nearby the environment of O. That is what is actually expressed in this word. So these are expressions which might not be the easiest ones to take, but it is I hope you can think a bit with the connection of letters, how they connect, and how our mind uses these points of reference to estimate actually the direction in which we are going, and that is actually what the words are all about. Anyhow, this was Gerald Johan van Waes again. This was an addition to the book Sound in Form. Some of these things were not expressed in the book because I had some difficulties of the last 9 letters where to pinpoint them actually, because I knew they were in space again. They were connected with time, but here I expressed it a little bit better, that they are actually about a potential that is expressed there. Okay, 2 volumes are separate as well, the development of the word and application of the word. What you also have is a website which I now and then will update, and you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel to have more examples. Thank you very much. Bye.